Hello! Welcome to Duncan Egg Bricks and to part 76 of my Hogwarts MOC series. This video is going to be a 3-for-1 as I'm going to show you what are technically 3 separate builds from my Hogwarts MOC series. This is my Hogwarts 2.0 versions, but I thought since each of them are relatively small, or 2 out of the 3 of them are, I would combine them all into one video. So today we're going to take a look at the revised Stonebridge Potions Classroom and the second half of the Potions Classroom / Viaduct Entrance Building entrance. So up first we have the stone bridge. Not much has actually changed here. It's relatively similar to what we had in the previous version, still using these 1x6 arch pieces which look good and are in scale with the rest of the castle. Still got this kind of dual level bit where you've got this which is the floor level of the rest of the castle around it, and then this which is meant to be the level of the bridge. As you can see on top, I'm just using light bluish grey pieces to represent some of the kind of tiling on the floor, and yeah, doing that so I don't have to absolutely tile the entire thing off. The main place where things have changed is actually at the base. I'm using these 3x6 wedge plates, one on either side, just to provide a bit of contrast so it isn't quite so obvious that this is at an angle. The other main thing is the angle that it actually sits at. In the previous version of the castle, it was at a 45-degree angle. This is actually making use of the, well, what I think of as still relatively new 4x6 wedge plates to put this at a slightly different angle, and it all still works out, which I'm really happy with. The other thing that's changed is that in the previous version of the castle, this bit actually carried on, or it met up with a bit that went around the side of one of the turrets of the Viaduct Entrance Building. You'll see what I mean when I show you that. And in this version, it no longer does that. So there isn't technically any physical access from one side of the bridge over to the other anymore. But I figured that my design philosophy has changed a little bit over the years since I built this, and it has been years now, and I figured that wasn't so important to me anymore because there are quite a few spots in the castle where there isn't technically any physical access from one area to another, and what was more important was getting the look right, making this a solid build, and then allowing myself to have the the Viaduct Entrance Building completed in the way I wanted it. You will notice there's a piece missing just there. It's meant to be a 1x3 brick in dark bluish grey. I made a few bricklink orders to complete these sections of the castle. Unfortunately, I was let down by one of them with quite a few missing or incorrect pieces. I'm not going to name and shame or anything like that. You know, mistakes do happen, but I did want to go ahead and build these. So yeah, there's a piece missing, but luckily it'll be very easy to put that back in place when the replacement pieces arrive. Next up is the second build. This is quite a bit larger than the previous one, although not quite as large as the main event. I'm never sure what to call this. It's variously been called in my digital files the Viaduct Entrance Building Adapter, the Viaduct Entrance Building Corridor, the Library Corridor. It was previously where the Philosopher's Stone challenges were, so it was the kind of secondary challenge area. It's a bit of an awkward one to give a name to, but what it essentially does is it backs onto the Viaduct Entrance Building, and then travelling this way, you then end up in the main central tower where Ravenclaw Common Room is. So it basically sits between those two parts, slightly awkward design. Again, this has gone through a complete rebuild for Hogwarts 2.0, although there are some similarities, mainly in this section at the top. A lot of things are very similar. The change is that previously the wall continued out here, came out and up and basically formed the back of the Viaduct Entrance Building. The reason I did that is when I originally designed the Viaduct Entrance Building, I wasn't actually intending on creating the rest of Hogwarts, or I wasn't creating it with the intention that I would go on and do that. So when I actually came to design this section of the castle, going on into the central tower, through to the Long Gallery and the bell towers, I just basically fudged it. And I basically made a wall here that would just cover up the back of the Viaduct Entrance Building so I wouldn't have to worry about it. Now, Hogwarts 2.0, I have completely redesigned that, so the back wall of the Viaduct Entrance Building is part of that building. The roof is all being sorted out. We'll see that in a future video. So that meant making a few changes to this. You'll see that there is a tile here rather than another one of those slopes, and the reason for that is that the kind of, I'm not sure what you call it, it's kind of like a buttress on the outside of the Viaduct Entrance Building, will actually just slide on and sit on top of there while the rest of it just butts up against it. In fact, while I've got this on camera, I'm just going to swap these around because I think this will look a bit better. There we go, then it matches up with the one at the top there. The outside, I've just used my detailing that I've been working on for Hogwarts 2.0 with these colours. What is missing is a couple of olive quarter tiles, which again part of that bricklink order which just didn't come through, and then this outside rockwork matches up perfectly to the Viaduct Entrance Building on this side, and then just here is where we have the greenhouse. Moving on to the inside, you'll see the first part of my potions classroom. Now previously, as I said, this formed the kind of secondary part of my Philosopher's Stone challenges. Those have all moved. They have swapped with the potions classroom over to the quad area, and see the previous videos for those. I went through them completely last time. But this is using pieces from my original Potions Classroom build, but also pieces from the recent Potions Classroom set, which was a great set. Included these containers with these little stickers for ingredients on them. I have to say these stickers do have a habit of peeling off because they're on curved surfaces, which is annoying, so I might have to look into getting a slightly stronger glue to stick them on. But those look really nice. I managed to get all 4 of those. Just see them behind there. I've then got a table here using these brilliant new flask pieces. Get one with a trans orange mix and a trans yellow, a couple of cauldrons. Probably won't be able to see through there. Oh no, there we are. There's a blackboard, which is on a sticker on a panel. Again, comes from that Potions Classroom set. In fact, no, that's a store cupboard. And that's a blackboard just there with some ingredients for making various potions. And then I've got that big cauldron build just here, which I have actually added a lime green 2x2 round tile on there to show some kind of potion being mixed. I've kept the light design that I used in the previous version of the Potions Classroom. So these plates here are actually the ones with the bar that comes down, and into them I've just put these little light designs with dishes on the top. So that's one half of the Potions Classroom. But the main event, as it were, of this build is the other part, the main Potions Classroom. And yes, I have noticed the discoloured brick just there. That's exactly why I put it there, because it's not discoloured from that angle. So maybe one day I'll get a replacement, but I'll live with it for the moment. And finally, the main part of this build. So this is the terrain underneath the Viaduct Entrance Building. If you've seen the previous version, you'll probably recognise these curved bricks just here. The main door to the Viaduct Entrance Building is just here, with the towers on these corners and the smaller ones at the back. The stone bridge, in fact, goes just here. You'll see I've got this wedge plate here, so the stone bridge goes just there. And yeah, it fits perfectly. I will show you that in situ with the stone tower next to it, which all lines up perfectly. Like I said, it does mean there is no kind of entrance, there's no door at either end of the stone bridge, but I think the look is massively improved. I'm using a lot of the same techniques that I've used on the other Hogwarts 2.0 builds, trying to make everything really seamless and integrated. There are a few tiles for decoration missing here, again from that order with the wrong pieces. But overall, I'm very happy with how this has turned out. I've managed to get the spacing and the structure really nicely put together. I'm even happy with the way that these bits of colour blocking have worked out here. You've got the light bluish grey, which is on top of the dungeon section, and then you've got these tan bits here, which are actually underneath where the main tower sections will be. So from the outside, you'll only be able to see those. And yeah, the light bluish grey kind of goes underneath and inside. So this is the new version of the Potions Classroom, and similar to the previous section, this used to be part of the Philosopher's Stone challenges, and I have actually kept the 3 arch design. Similar again to the previous version of the Potions Classroom, although I actually had these pillars split with a kind of stack of potion ingredients with a few things under bell jars on the top. I have managed to keep a couple of those, so you'll see at that end I've got one with a skull, and at that end I've got the one with the kind of ice cream scoop of whatever it's supposed to be, some sort of ingredients. But I have again used parts from the more recent Potions Classroom, as well as the original parts that I used from the Hogwarts Moment Potion set, and I've combined them all together, and I think they look really nice. I didn't point out in the previous section that I have used these tiles here. These tiles come from that Potions Classroom set, all come with stickers. They're basically the same thing as this back here, but I thought they looked really nice, and it's nice to have them as a kind of reflection of these arches at the front. I'm using the relatively recent smaller arch pieces at the back to show the kind of arches over where the blackboard and the store cupboard over there are from. And these pieces are again from that Potions Classroom set. these kind of wonderful explosion pieces. Got one there with Seamus being blown up in his face, which I thought looked right. Using the minifigs from that set as well, so I had Pansy in the previous section, Hermione and Seamus there, and then the brilliant Snape with arm printing, looking very severe and in command there. I've increased the size of the table. It was previously a 4x4 round plate, it's now 6x6, and overall I'm really happy with how the look of this has turned out. It's also really nice and sturdy. I've been trying to make things a little bit less flimsy as I've been building the Hogwarts 2.0 sections, and I'm pretty happy that I've managed to get that working here. So the only thing left to do is to show you all three of these parts in situ with the rest of the castle. Starting with the Viaduct Entrance Building corridor or adapter, that just fits in here. You can see the line where it splits from the central tower next to it just there. So that all lines up at that level, lines up on the roof, and the level of slopes below it for focus. There we go. And then the rockwork lines up as well. There is a level of bricks or rather plates missing from there, and also all the decoration, but I am working on that. That'll be in an update soon. And then through the walls there, this actually fits perfectly. You see there's that little cutout there. We'll just fit around this piece just here. So that all fits together really nicely. And then the potions classroom just sits on the shelf. It does stick off a bit, but it's nice and strong, so it stays there. We've then got in front of it the viaduct, and the way that I've designed this is previously the bottom of this viaduct here had basically stacked bricks, which anytime I moved the viaduct, they would snap off. So what I've actually done is I've basically pre-snapped them, so they're actually part of the potions classroom, and that just rests on top like that. What I might do is replace this tile here with jumper plates, or the 1x4 plate or tile with a stud at either end. That way that'll just sit there and lock everything into place really nicely. And then up here is the stone bridge, and that just fits between the stone tower and that just there. And like I said, I'm using these newer wedge plates, one there, and then this actually just slots in, and using that wedge in front kind of smooths out the transition from one to the other. So yeah, looking pretty good. So there's only a couple of elements that I need to actually rebuild completely from scratch for the Hogwarts 2.0 project. First of all, obviously the Viaduct Entrance Building, big gap just here. And the other thing that's missing, although I do keep forgetting about it, is the astronomy tower, which is going to go back there. I've had that design for ages. I need to go over it, make sure I'm happy with it, and then I'll get ahead and yeah, get it done. One last thing to show you, wooden bridge, just made some adjustments to it. Basically, in my previous version, it had none of this olive green or dark green or colour variation. It was all just dark bluish grey the whole way across. What I've tried to do is get across the kind of distressed idea of it. So I've incorporated some other colours into the woodwork, some dark green. There's a slope piece there, so there's a bit of a hole. A couple of the window frames are now dark brown. So that just, you know, shows a little bit of wear and tear, some slopes and pieces. I've tried to make the roof a bit crinkly. Basically, this is a nightmare of a build to make out of Lego because it needs to look rickety, but it also needs to be strong. So I've tried to kind of make a happy medium between the two. So it looks a bit funky, but is overall still a nice, strong build. So yeah, the other things that are coming, astronomy tower, viaduct entrance building. I've also got the little kind of building at the end there, which is actually sitting up there at the moment, but I've designed the terrain and the standing stones up there, so that's coming as well. So yeah, lots of things happening in Hogwarts, but also in and around the Lego room as well. So yeah, stay tuned. I hope you've enjoyed the video and the latest update in my Hogwarts series. If you have, please leave the video a like down below, leave a comment and let me know what you're looking forward to seeing, and I will see you again very soon.